What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Vitamin Leads, your healthy dose of leadership. I'm your host, TJ Reed, and we are talking this week about how to build predictability into the calendar for your team. And so on Monday, we talked about pumpkin spices, so predictable, and how our team needs some rhythms of predictability. And so today, I thought it would just be a really helpful, simple exercise for you to just hear some ways about how you build a predictable calendar. And I wanted to take a little bit of a familiar analogy to you, which would be the car, and talk a little bit about how we can build a predictable calendar. And so there's three things that I want to share today. By no means is this exhaustive, but these are three things I think you should focus on if you're trying to build a predictive calendar for your team. The first one is what I call open road seasons. Now, here's what I mean by open road seasons. Open roads are those, have you ever taken a road trip where you are driving and you know that it's going to be about 3 to 5 hours of just driving straight? If you've ever driven through places where it's just all highway, if you've driven down 95 somewhere, you know what I'm talking about, where you've just got to tough it out and you've just got to drive the open road to get to the location and the destination you're trying to get to. And so I think open roads are the first things that you want to put on your calendar. You know what your busy seasons are, where you're not going to have a ton of time to pull your teams away for training or for additional encouragement or retreats or whatever that looks like for your team. So open road seasons are those times that you know you're going to be busy. And so it's important that you have those on the calendar and you help your team to know, listen, we're just going to be busy here. We're going to be, like we talked about last time, if you're a tax person from January to April, you're just going to be busy during those times. If you're in higher education, July and August are going to be insane for you as you work through this stuff. But helping to understand the busyness is important. And then we can build the other things around it to help to mitigate burnout, frustration, all of those sorts of things. But first, build in your open roads where your team knows, hey, you're going to be driving for a while on this highway, and we just want you to be aware. It's going to be hard, but we're going to tough it out. We're going to do it together during this time. That's where things like blackout dates and other things on your team calendar will really help with that. The second thing, once you build out what those open roads are, then the second thing you want to build out is what I call oil changes. And so I have a little sticker right up here in the top corner of my windshield. And what does that sticker tell me? It tells me after X amount of miles or at this certain odometer reading that I'm going to need another oil change typically. And so you know what those are for your teams. Usually I encourage you to build in oil changes on the front end of open road seasons and on the back end of open road seasons. What types of things is your team going to need to know before things get really busy? What things are they going to need to be reminded of before they get really busy? Because when you get busy, sometimes you forget some of the basics and don't tend to all of the things that you should when you're busy. And then on the back end of really busy seasons, what are some new processes that are going to be introduced to our team before we get to that next busy season? What things do we want to remind them of? What things do we want to praise them about? And so those oil change seasons will make sure that after long stretches of an open road, that your team isn't getting an engine that's seizing up because they haven't had that oil change. And so oil changes are those trainings, those reminders, those futuristic looking things that you need to build into your teams. And then no road trip's complete without number three, stopping at landmarks. And so you've put into place, here's what our busy seasons are going to look like. You've put into place, here's where our oil changes are going to look like. We're going to make sure that our team's trained and reminded and all of those sorts of things. And then landmarks are those places where you just stop and celebrate. One of my good friends, Wilson, he loves to go to different crazy museums, whatever city he goes to. And he finds some amazing museums that I've never even heard of before. But what are you going to do to help to celebrate your team? What are those stopping points? Those landmarks, those stopping points can be in the middle of an open road season where you just offer things. I remember one summer here in higher ed, we knew that our teams were really busy. And so we opened a break room and we did a throwback summer. 1 week, we had everybody bring in their favorite board game or video game from when they were kids. And hey, on your lunch break or on your regular breaks, take a few moments and go play Super Mario Brothers. Or one time we did throwback snacks. Hey, go have some Dunkaroos or a Hugs juice or whatever it is. We wanted to make sure that our team still felt encouraged in the middle of the busyness. But find what those landmarks are. Those are things like retreats. Those are things like celebrating milestones together as a team. Those are, creating different ways to give awards to your team. And so I encourage you to find what those landmarks are and set those on the calendar. So if you begin to do those, I think you'll start to see that your calendar will actually begin to take shape over a 12-month period. And so we're going to come back on Friday with your challenge to actually write out your own predictable calendar. And so if you've been enjoying this, let me encourage you, get ahead of it and start to write out your calendar. And I'd love to hear from you about how you're doing that. So once again, we talked about today open roads, those long stretches that you're just going to be busy. Then we talked about oil changes, ways that you help your team to train, to be reminded of all those things, and then landmarks, ways to celebrate, to take a breath, to enjoy each other, and to recognize the people on your team. So hope that was helpful. I hope that you have a great day, Vitamin Lead. And I have been your host, TJ Reed. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.